Hey guys, it's Amer from MMOs.com with another quick weekly news recap of all major MMO news and announcements for the week ending February 19th, 2018. This is episode number 135 of the recap, and the first bit of news this week comes from City State Entertainment, and it's a big one. Camelot Unchained will be launching into Beta 1 on July 4th, which will basically give everyone a chance to play it. Yes, finally people will be able to play Camelot Unchained. This comes after 3 years of delays, so it's definitely big news. It's the first of likely numerous betas in the coming year, and they seem pretty committed to that July 4th date as well, so it seems like it'll actually be happening for sure. This announcement comes less than a month since Camelot Unchained secured a $7.5 million investment from GF Capital, so that money seems to be going a long way in making Camelot Unchained a reality. Expect to have a first look on July 4th. Next up, Kakao Games sparked a bit of a pay-to-win controversy this last week with Black Desert Online with their latest patch to introduce a new cash shop item called the Blessing of Camasliv, which when used increases loot gain by 20% and increases energy regeneration. It sparked controversy because in an interview with a YouTuber named DocGotGame, Kakao Games community manager said that they were taking steps to reduce pay-to-win in the Western version of the game, such as removing the Blessing of Camaslivia from the game's cash shop and moving it to the loyalty reward system and making the item bound to a player so they can't be sold in an auction house. So Kakao basically explicitly said that this item was too strong, and since BDO is buy to play here in the West, they balanced the game by moving it out of the cash shop into the loyalty system. 1 year later, it looks like they did a full 180 on this position because they reintroduced this exact item that they said they're going to take out and balance the game around, and they put it back into the cash shop. Ouch. Honestly, they could have just added other pay-to-win elements, but putting this one item they said they were going to take out, it seems like a really bad idea. Honestly, though, it's incredibly stupid. This wouldn't even be a big deal if Black Desert Online was free to play, but it costs money, so players rightfully expect less bullshit in the game's cash shop. This one is definitely a bit of a doozy, though. Expect a discussion of this in tomorrow's podcast. And speaking of pay-to-win, Lineage 2 sparked a bit of their own pay-to-win controversy this last week with the introduction of a new item called the Circlets of Power, which are best-in-slot items that can be purchased in the game's cash shop. But hold on, these circlets aren't best-in-slot equipment until they're fully upgraded, but the only way to upgrade these Circlets of Power is to use the cash shop. And get this, the items have to upgrade from +0 to +5 3 times using cash shop enchantment scrolls. A failure to upgrade reverts it back to +0, so God knows how much money it takes to actually get it to max. And obviously Lineage 2's community was not happy about this. You can see it from the posts underneath the news for this, but because Lineage 2 isn't that popular in the West anymore, at least on the official servers, I expect these changes are here to stay. Also in controversy news this week, the buy-to-play MMORPG Wildbusters Heroes of Titan was removed from Steam for review manipulation this week. Apparently the CEO of Incel Games, the game's publisher, sent an email to all their employees suggesting they all go out and leave reviews for Wildbuster because the game isn't meeting their revenue targets. The email was posted on Reddit, and Valve quickly investigated and concluded that they were breaking the Steam store policy, so they removed all of Incel's game products from Steam, which were basically Wildbusters and Guardians of Ember. If you already bought either of these two games, you can still play them, but they're no longer available for sale for new players. I'm not surprised Wildbuster isn't meeting their revenue targets though. The whole game was basically the PvE aspect of Master x Master, but with a lot less polish. And again, it was buy to play, so it was Master x Master except worse, but it cost money, so no surprise it didn't do very well. Next up, a bit more news about Bless Online, though nothing too big. In an interview this last week, NeoWays stated that they expect the game to have an early access period of about 6 months, which will act as a sort of soft launch for the game. But like most other early access periods, there will not be a wipe afterwards. The devs also said that they were easing up on the amount of grinding in the game, which actually makes a bit of sense because I remember the Russian version had this weird gap in the game's main storyline where you had to grind / complete a ton of side quests before you could actually move on to the next main story quest. Bless developers also said that they have no plans on region locking the game, outside of probably Korea and Japan where the game is already out. And as with other interviews, they actually did say they don't want the game to be pay to win, but then again, literally everybody says that. It's their actions that matter, not their words, but we'll have to wait and see. The game is still scheduled for release sometime this year. Up next, Trove announced their latest expansion this week, and it's called Trove Heroes, and it's superhero themed. The new update is set to launch this spring and will take players to the big city to fight evil. Trove Heroes brings with it Luminopolis, a huge new urban environment with flashy neon skyscrapers and other areas to explore. Also included in the update is a new expert class, the Vanguardian, which is capable of both melee and range attacks. Players can also expect new mega world bosses and much more. I played a bit of Trove and I actually liked it quite a bit. It's kind of annoying that the new classes are always behind paywalls, but the core gameplay is pretty fun. Think Minecraft meets MMORPG. The game still averages about 3,600 players online at any given time on Steam alone, which is still pretty solid. Next up, Tree of Savior will be merging servers for the North American and Southeast Asian regions. Mergers are scheduled to take place on March 18th, and afterwards, Tree of Savior will be left with a single North American server and a single Southeast Asian server, down from 2 in each region. While the game's player base has been dwindling since its 2016 launch, the game still averages about 1,600 players online at a given time, which isn't too shabby. Players with total characters above the max on both servers after the merge risk losing their characters, or at least some of them, unless they buy additional character slots, which is kind of lame. They should give free character slots to those affected because they're merging the servers anyway. Up next, Closers is launching its first new hero since launching in the West. Nata is joining Closers on February 21st and is a melee character that uses chain daggers to sweep enemies and draw them in for close range combos. Nata will be available for purchase before launch for 2,990 EMP and 3,490 EMP after launch, which is the game's premium currency. kind of lame that the new classes cost cash up currency, and it's especially lame because about 3,000 EMP is about 30 bucks. So 30 bucks for a new class seems a bit much. I mean, you can buy a lot of games for 30 bucks, so just one class for 30 bucks definitely seems a bit nuts. Next up, also in new class news, Moon Legends is introducing the Spellbinder class in March, which is the game's 5th playable class and the first one to be added since the game launched back in November of 2017. Unlike Closes though, the new class will be here and free for everyone. If you haven't heard Moon Legend, it's an isometric fantasy MMORPG, so think Diablo 3 or Path of Exile, but with actual persistent world MMO elements. Up next, the free-to-play 2D zombie survival MMO Dead Maze launched on Steam this last week, and is made by a company called Atelier 801, with the same company behind Transform Mice. Unlike the arcade-like Transform Mice though, Dead Maze is a co-op survival game with actual MMO elements. It's a PvE-only game and features hundreds of weapons, in-depth crafting, and more. It's a bit linear though, and the MMO elements aren't actually super necessary to enjoy the game. It has one really long story quest with some pretty good storytelling, and you see other people during your journey and can get their help and kill the world boss and stuff, but the MMO stuff isn't super primary to the game. It's definitely not bad, but it isn't my cup of tea personally. I did a first look for this one already, so if you're curious, check it out. Next is a brand new game announcement. Mavericks Proving Grounds released their first teaser trailer, and it basically shows zero gameplay, but it's supposed to be a 400-player battle royale game with actual MMO elements. Yes, they actually said they wanted to add some MMO elements to the game. It's powered by Spatial OS as well, a technology we've heard a lot of hype around, but haven't really seen much come out of just yet. I know Worlds Adrift had it, and its player base was never big enough to really test it out. Even with a few players, I remember it lagging really badly. We don't know much about Mavericks Proving Grounds just yet, though. We should hear a lot more about the game in March during GDC. If I had to guess, though, it'll be buy to play. Next and last bit of news this week is a fun one. MapleStory is hosting a crossover event with the anime Evangelion. Crossover events aren't anything new to MapleStory, but they're definitely pretty cool. They're a fun way to get useful items and other limited time goodies. The free-to-play event drops are actually pretty useful as well. But yeah, that's it for MMO news this week. We had a lot of controversies this week, so tomorrow's podcast should be pretty fun. Anyway guys, I'll see you then. Later guys.